Hey everybody, welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Tom Vassell. This is Board Game Breakfast, and this is the first Board Game Breakfast of 2017. Now this is a very important day for us because today we are launching the Dice Tower Fundraiser. And there's going to be a link here in the description of the comments. We'll have links from our websites. We'll tweet the link. You can find the link somewhere to the Dice Tower Fundraiser. Now what is that? If you are new to our show this year, each year in January, we have a fundraiser to raise funds for the Dice Tower's operating expenses over the course of the year. There's some various sources of income for the Dice Tower, but the vast majority of our money comes through a fundraiser. Now, in past years, we've run the fundraiser on Kickstarter. This year, we're running it on Indiegogo, and we're doing that for several reasons. One, Indiegogo it's going to take less money from us than Kickstarter does, so more money can go to running the Dice Tower. Indiegogo takes PayPal, which is a very useful thing, and Indiegogo allows you to go through it multiple times, so you'll be able to say, I want this promo pack, or I want this or that, and go through and get multiple things if you want to. And that really helps us out in the back end too. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that really help us out here. And we're very excited about this. Now, the Dice Tower, Board Game Breakfast, all our reviews and everything are free. And we intend that they always will stay free to watch. If you're watching this right now and you're like, I don't want to pay money for the Dice Tower, you don't have to. We never want that to be something that we feel like you must do. But if you think it's worth it, we want you to consider it. Over the past year, we've put out over 2,000 videos on our channel, over 1,000 reviews of board games and top 10 lists and previews and interviews and all sorts of different things on our show that we hope are useful for both your entertainment and also learning about board games. I don't know, just whatever you might find them useful for. This is my full-time job. I have 3 full-time employees, Sam Healy and Z Garcia. You know them from my top 10 lists, and Derek Porter, who's my video editor. But I also have part-time employees, Chaz Marler, Robert Searing, who does my website, and Eric Summer, who is my co-host on the Dice Tower audio show. There's a lot of work that goes into putting out all this stuff each and every day. I work very hard, take very few days off over the course of the year because we want to make sure there's a constant stream of content for you guys. And we definitely want to make it better. We want to make our show constantly improving in quality. And last year, I think you can see, it took some bumps in the road, but our audio input went up. And you also could see, hopefully, a change in some video improvements as the year went by. Our camera definitely got better. And hopefully, as time goes by, we're listening to suggestions. We started some new series like Look Back, and just I did the 40 Years of Great Gaming. And so I have lots of ideas and ways that we can do new things this coming year. But we need your help. I know that sounds trite. I even hate saying that sort of thing. But if you're interested in that, then we kind of ask you just to think about that, because it's very useful to us to have this feedback with our listeners, and we want this to be something that you guys enjoy. So I'm not going to, one of the reasons we do a fundraiser in January is because I'll mention it over the month of January, and then we don't want to talk about it the rest of the year because we want to concentrate on giving you board game content. But don't worry, we're still going to have a lot of board game content for you. Today, we'll be doing a live Q&A with me, Sam, and Z. We're going to be live on camera at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 1 hour up to the launch of the Indiegogo campaign, which will be going live at noon. So, I don't know, I thought that'd be kind of a fun thing to go through. In a week, the 12th and the 13th, which are next week, we'll be doing a big live gaming marathon where we will be streaming live 30 hours worth of games. Now, it's going to be a little bit different than previous years, and I'll talk about some of those differences probably in our next Board Game Breakfast, still working at the schedule and different things like that. But I'm excited about that. And we have piles of reviews that I can see just off screen here that we'll be putting up this week, another top 10 list. So there's lots of other things that are coming. So with all that being said, once again, thanks so much for watching the show. Let's get to it. So we're going to start off with the news. First of all, Asmodee and Space Cowboys, I already mentioned this before, but they've given us more information on Unlock. This is their new puzzle box style game or puzzle room style game where there are 60 card decks along with some starter cards, and you got to figure out how to use these different items to get through them, and you'll be adding numbers together then to find a specific card in a deck. You get 3 of these decks per box. Like the first one is called the Formula, Squeak, and Sausage. Interesting, I guess. So I'm kind of intrigued by how this works. I'm very excited about this one. It looks like it's coming out in February. Also coming soon from Rio Grande is Jump Drive. This is a reprint of The City, which came out, I think, around 2012 from Amigo. And people who have played it have called it basically a light version of Race for the Galaxy. And in fact, it's going to be rethemed into the Race for the Galaxy universe. So it's kind of like a stepping stone to that. Sounds interesting. Kingsport Festival card game is coming. There's not been much information on this. Kingsport was the Cthulhu-themed version of Kingsburg that also came out to very little fanfare. I'm still not sure why Passport doesn't put more emphasis on really promoting these games, but hey, I'm looking forward to this. Also, House of Borgia, Liar's Dice. This is from Talon Strike. I'm sorry, it's not called Liar's Dice. It is a Liar's Dice-like game. So it's not a Liar's Dice game. It's a game designed by Scott Alms that uses that kind of mechanisms. It's a social deduction style game. There's quite a few of those. So Scott Alms gets a lot of his games published. So we'll have to see how this one is. This game I'm very excited about from WizKids called Assault of the Giants. Looks really cool. You're a bunch of giants fighting other giants, which I guess if there's wars of giants, are you really giants anymore? I mean, does it really matter if you're a giant since you're all the same size? I don't know. Maybe there's more to it than that, but wow, it looks gorgeous. There's actually coming out with 2 versions of it, a normal version and then a deluxe version with painted miniatures, because, you know, WizKids has a lot of painted miniatures with their HeroClix stuff. So I'm really excited. Andrew Parks is a designer. Mysterium is coming out with a 2nd expansion, so people who really like that will be happy. And then there is Link. All right, so Chris Berm has designed this great series of abstract strategy games, and he likes to give them just names that are hard to remember, like Devon and Yinch, and it's called the GIF series. And so this one is following along those lines. I think you're going to pronounce this Link, and no one's ever going to be able to. You'll say, what are you playing? Oh, we're playing Link. And then they're going to go look for it, and they'll never find it on the internet. But those look interesting. There's different color pieces. You don't own any of the colors, but as the game goes by, says the description, you will get a couple of the colors, and then you want your colors and control stacks. Who knows? I'm sure it's a well-designed game because all his games are. All right, let's go to fundraising.
Happy breakfast, everybody, and Happy New Year. We've got some fun projects to look at today, but I'm especially fond of the one at the end, so stick around. Sherman Leader is the next in the Leader line of games from Dan Versen Games. This is a solitaire wargame that has you taking command of Allied forces in World War II. There's a ton of replayability because every game you pick your campaign, your objective, there's a variety of battles, and the modular terrain tiles can be randomized too. You'll allocate forces to battles, move all the troops, and resolve the damage, which means you'll have to allocate your limited supplies wisely. You repair units or save them up to purchase special equipment for future battles. Sherman Leader is designed for quick play, with each battle lasting only around 15 minutes, and as is usual for DVG, there's a ton of historical detail worked throughout the game. Check out the campaign for what stretch goals have been unlocked and what add-ons are available. The base game of Sherman Leader takes a pledge of $70 plus shipping. Mage Company is expanding their line of premium card sleeves. I'm sure many of you will be especially interested in the mini square size, which fits cards from Kingdom Death. Mage is also offering Mini Euro, Mini American, Standard Game, Standard Euro, and Standard American size sleeves. Mage Company sleeves are 100 microns thick, which stands up to pretty much every other premium card sleeve thickness. Now, a lot of board gamers are very anti-sleeving, but if you're looking to cover up your cards with some protection, this campaign might be the way to do it. The starting bundle pledge is $25 plus shipping for a dozen packs of sleeves. Twilight of the Gods: Age of Revelation is the new expandable card game in the vein of an LCG that's being published by Victory Point Games. Taking place in a world where the pantheons of the gods are collapsing and the Dark Ages approach, players take on the role of a deity fighting for enough power to survive. Each of the 4 starting deities have unique abilities, and there are 4 associated factions. And while there are 4 pre-designed decks in the core game, you can most definitely mix and match cards to match your playstyle. Twilight of the Gods will feel similar in some ways to games like Magic, but it features a unique resource generation element. In order to get resources, you must trade cards with your opponent because it's their cards that will turn into resources for you. This also keeps the player interaction notched up a level because as your power builds, you can also seize cards from your opponent if they don't want to trade. On top of all that, cards that you trade to your opponent can be manifested later, meaning you can lay traps for them by seeding a damaging card that you can trigger later. The art looks great, and I really appreciate that the game makers made an effort to be inclusive and thoughtful about how they represent deities from around the world. The design team and Victory Point Games have a bunch of expansions already planned, but you can get this current starter set for a pledge of $39 plus shipping. And last, but certainly not least, 64-ounce Games is seeking funding for a laser cutter. For those of you unfamiliar with 64-ounce Games, they work tirelessly to make games accessible for sight-impaired and blind gamers. Previously, they've run 2 successful campaigns on Kickstarter, one for accessibility kits that include things like braille-printed card sleeves and QR codes that enable players with readers to engage, and another campaign for 3D printed braille dice. A laser cutter enables 64-ounce Games to expand their accessibility offerings hugely, allowing them to cut individual custom pieces and more. The vast majority of you watching or listening to this are sighted, so take a moment to think about how much you love games, how you would feel if you couldn't play them because of your sight, and then think about somebody making them playable for you. 64-ounce Games is requesting donations of just $5 to help fund the cutter, and this donation will get you a discount code for their online shop. You can, of course, donate more than the $5 for this great project. Please note that this is an Indiegogo campaign, not a Kickstarter, and it's really close to closing, so please go and check it out as soon as you can. Okay, that's all I've got for you this episode. Hopefully something caught your eye. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week, and cheers to a great 2017 in gaming.
Hi, welcome to Miniatures World. It's 2017. Instead of looking back, let's look at what's coming up in the future. And the first thing I want to attack is some of the new segments that I'm going to be doing. First of all, now that we're all done with Doom, we're going to be working into Frostgrave, a role-playing tabletop miniatures game. And what we're going to do is we're going to be painting that every Thursday night live. And we're going to be talking about it here on Miniatures World and taking a look at some of the miniatures in the next coming weeks. Now also, we're going to be building the terrain for it, and we're going to be starting a new segment which is called Tabletop Saturday Night, where we're going to feature different games from Mantic, if we ever hear from Mantic, Games Workshop, all the different companies, but the first one that we are going to focus on is Frostgrave, and this is a fantastic tabletop role-playing game where you could play it on a 2x2 board or a 3-foot-by-3-foot board, no bigger than some board games. I'm going to show you how to build a terrain, paint the figures, and how to play the game all in one swoop this month. So the month of January is going to be dedicated to Frostgrave, and I can't wait to show you all the beautiful miniatures and everything that they have that comes with it. So we're off to a great start, and I can't wait to get going, and I can't wait to start our program Tabletop Saturday Night, where we'll feature all kinds of games from Games Workshop, Mantic, anybody that does a tabletop game that catches my eye. Well, that's it for now. Until next time, I'm Rob Warren, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, so this week, folks, I'm going to be taking a look at Robinson Crusoe, the new version, and comparing it to the old version. I'm also going to be taking a look at the new expansion for Cosmic Encounter, Cosmic Eons, a cool new party game called Yes, a game called Bubbly Pop, the Deadpool Legendary Expansion, and quite a few other games. Sam and Z, of course, will be doing other games. We're going to be doing our top 10 most anticipated games of 2017. And basically a lot of other things. You're going to find all this information at dicetower.com, as well as other podcasts. You can check out dicetowernetwork.com and look at all the different podcasts that are coming out. On our podcast, we'll be taking a look 5 years ago, back in 2000 and, well, what is 5 years from 2012. Oh yeah, that's a really fun episode that we did. Anyhow, let's keep going.
Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise here, wrapping up my official, completely subjective top list of whatever I decide to put on it, 2016 Board Game Flavor Edition. This installment contains the top awards on my list. So, let's not waste any more time, let's fast forward to the favorites. We'll begin with my personal pick for Publisher of the Year. In 2016, this title was earned by a company that's just 2 years old, but still managed to explode onto my radar with a varied catalog of games this year, which includes World's Fair 1893, Lotus, Covert, Apotheca, The Blood of an Englishman, and Clank! All of these games were published this year by or in association with Renegade Game Studios. Now, this company wasn't even on my radar at the beginning of 2016, but over the past 12 months, their eye for game design that they've demonstrated has not only grabbed my attention, but has me waiting in anticipation to see what they unveil in 2017. And I really hope that they continue the role that they were on this year. Now, while Renegade produced a wide range of games, there's still one more game floating around out there that turned out to be my single number one favoritist game of the year. Now, this isn't necessarily my pick for the best overall game of 2016, but my own personal favorite, the one that I liked most. And for me, that title goes to The Godfather: A New Dawn by IDW. In this game, players will increase their influence over New York by seizing control of various neighborhoods, accumulating special abilities, muscling opponents out of territories, gambling for even more resources, clawing their way up the mafia food chain, and they do it all by managing a small pool of dice at their disposal. While playing this game, I am in a constant state of trying to accomplish my pre-planned strategy while simultaneously trying to do just one more thing. I wouldn't necessarily call this a complex game, but it always leaves me looking forward to the next time I get to play it. So there's my top picks for 2016. But what's your favorite publisher and game from the past year? Let me know in the comments below, because who knows? Each one of our favorite games may be one that someone else hasn't even heard of yet, and is just waiting to discover that it's one of their favorites too.
Hey everybody, each year I make predictions about the coming year in the board game world. Last year I did pretty well. So this year I have predictions, but man, it's hard for me to make these predictions every year because I'm trying to sit there and go, I don't know. How specific do I make these? Do I have any insider knowledge? Answer, no. I'm just guessing on every single one of these things. So we'll have to wait and see. So in no particular order, here are my 10 predictions in the board gaming world for 2017. Number one, I'm going to say that there will be at least 10 new escape room style games. I already talked about one in the news that's been announced, so I guess I know about one of the 10. And I think this is the new thing, right? Escape rooms themselves are extremely popular. They're all over the place. And of course, that seems that popularity would bleed over into board gaming because people just really like that sort of thing. We saw, I think, 3 of them released last year, maybe 4. So I'm going to say that it's going to really become the big thing, new escape room games. Number 2, I'm going to predict that Pandemic Legacy is going to be a very big hit. I know, that's not very big of a prediction. However, I'm going to say it's going to not be as popular as the first one. These are just guesses, okay? I'm hoping it's better than the first one. I'm very excited about it, but I think it will never surpass the first one in popularity, but I'm saying that it will go over very well. Number 3. This is my prediction that failed last year, so I think I'm gonna change it slightly. I'm gonna say, of the top 10 games this year, there will be 3 or 4 of them will be Kickstarter-backed games. So of the top 3 or 4 games that at the end of the year, when we look at the top 10 games of the year, 3 or 4 of the 10 of them will be Kickstarter-funded games. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of very big Kickstarters coming out this year, so we'll just have to wait and see. Number 4, I think that there will be another substantial board game merger, but I say this one will not involve Asmodee. Don't get me wrong, I fully expect Asmodee to gobble up somebody this year. I'm assuming it will be somebody smaller. It's going to be hard to top. I mean, the only one if they buy Cool Mini or not now, I guess that would, or WizKids, that would be like mind-blowing. But, or I don't think they want Mayfair. They already got Mayfair's best thing, which was Catan. So who knows? But I'm going to say that 2 other companies will merge, or 1 other company will buy something else. It will be big enough that people will go, oh, that's interesting. Number 5. Where's my number 5? Tabletop, the series by Will Wheaton. There was a lot of changes to Tabletop in the past year. They released a couple episodes on YouTube, and the rest of them were behind a website called Alpha. And now in January, they're going to release those. And so I'm predicting that you will see no new Tabletop episodes even recorded in 2017 with Will Wheaton at the helm. I say that because it is possible that they might lose Will Wheaton and get someone else to come in and run Tabletop. I'm not saying that might happen, but just from reading Will Wheaton's blog and such, I feel like he's discouraged with the whole thing in general. So this could be the very last we see of Tabletop this season that just comes out. I don't want that to happen, but it might. Or at least I'm predicting it. Number 6, I think a major TV network. And by major TV network, I'm also including Hulu and Amazon and Netflix. One of them will start some sort of series about tabletop games. Somehow, some way. Whether it's a miniatures game, or it's a Magic the Gathering show, or something like that, or it's a show about people who play board games, or it's a game. I'm not talking necessarily about a party game show that's loosely related to tabletop games like already exists. I mean something that we would go, that's interesting. Maybe that's just hopeful dreams. Number 7, I have some predictions about games on the Board Game Geek rankings. I'm going to put these all together. Okay, I think that the new upcoming Mars game from Ignacy Trzewiczek will hit the top 50 before the end of the year. I think Great Western Trail will hit the top 70 before the end of the year. I say Kingdom Death Monster will break the top 100 before 2017 is over. And that Pandemic Legacy 2 will be in the top 10. Just not higher than Pandemic Legacy 1. I say all that will happen by the end of 2017. Let's see if I'm right. That's a whole bunch piled together. Number 8, I'm going to predict 2 things about the biggest award of the year, the Spiel des Jahres and the Kenner Spiel des Jahres. I'm going to say the Spiel des Jahres, that it will be a new designer, something new, that a designer we haven't heard of before, and a brand new game. But the Kenner Spiel, I'm going to say very specifically, I think it will be Terraforming Mars. Who knows? I might be wrong, but that would be kind of cool if I was right in those regards, but we'll see. Number 9, I'm going to say that in the first 2 quarters, the first half of the year, that Star Wars Destiny will be in the top 5 selling games. That Star Wars collectible dice game is going to just start growing and growing and growing at an exponential rate, especially if they release an expansion, and we all know they will. So I'm saying that's going to really grow. I'm going to say in the 3rd and 4th quarter, the second half of the year, we're going to see Steve Jackson's Munchkin CCG be in the top 5 sellers there. I don't know if either of them is going to last in 2018. In fact, I'd kind of put that prediction out there that maybe they won't. But I think for 2017, you're going to see them dominate. At least, that's what I think. And finally, number 10, I'm going to say a new party game is going to come out this year that's just going to dominate the scene. It's going to be one of the top games that everyone talks about. You know, there's usually big heavy Euro games or some big thematic game. I'm going to say a party games, like think Codenames. Something like that is going to come out. Everyone's going to be talking about it. Everyone's going to be playing it. It's going to be like when we talk about the top 5 games of the year, one of them will be a party game. I don't have any inside track on any of this stuff. We'll see if it comes true or not. What does it matter? It's just fun to predict. What are your predictions for 2017? Let me know in the comments. Tell me why my predictions are so very wrong. They likely are, but we'll see at the end of the year. And I'm excited because here we go into the year. Well, I guess here we go into the rest of the show.
Hello, everyone. It's
Lunchtime! Very thematically, we're talking about a game today called Menu Masters, designed by Zach and Jordan Weissman, published by Calliope Games, plays in about 20 to 40 minutes, ages 8 and up for 2 to 5 players.
In Menu Masters, each player plays a competing chef trying to be the first to finish 3 different menus by collecting various ingredients cards as they need to basically complete each menu card. I really enjoyed this game. It's very light. It's very accessible. The character art is fantastic on it.
I really like the concept of, you can bid, or not bid, but you can place your marker on cards and increase the price for other players. So you may not want that ingredient, but if you're not going to have it, somebody else is going to have it for a much more expensive price. Mm-hmm. You could also gain revenue by taking control of a store, so any bids that come to that store, you're going to get it. So that was also really fun. I also like the idea that you could, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's if you had 3 of the same ingredient, and then you can swap that out for 1, if I'm not mistaken, or something else. So I thought that was really neat. If you were really trying to get an ingredient, it just wasn't coming your way, and a lot of the same thing was coming up. So we found that out a little bit later, played it, but for next time.
Yeah, and there's a lot of nice text and thematic on each of the chefs, and the chefs are really cool. I like what they really did with them. They look very appropriate for their style of food that they cooked. So it just appeals to me with all the beautiful colors and the nice artwork.
And their descriptions on the player boards are really funny.
Very, very cute.
Yeah, lots of good humor in the game as well.
So depending on how many players you have, your lunch hour, if it's longer, you can play with more players. If it's shorter, then you might want to play with less. This is the 20 to 40 minute mark. So definitely something that I'm looking forward to playing again. It's about food. Can't go wrong with that.
Very topical for lunchtime.
Exactly. So definitely going to get this one back to the table. Mm-hmm. All right. So that's it for now. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, so we have 2 more shelves here to look at today in my collection. We're going to start here with Exodus Proxima Centauri. I have this and the expansion here in the box. I still really like this one, like a Twilight Imperium Light. Baseball Highlights 2045. You don't hear me talk about this one as much, but it's a really fun 2-player deck builder. I guess you can play more than 2 players, like at a tournament style. This one, it seemingly is growing like a very dedicated fan base. It's just a great, great game. That's a lot of fun. Then Pandemic in the Lab. This actually includes all my Pandemic stuff. For Pandemic, I don't have the newest expansion. I have Pandemic and the first 2 expansions. I'm actually very content with that. If I want to play with everything else, I have Z to do that with. But I do have everything for Flashpoint Fire Rescue, which is why I need 2 boxes for it here. A great cooperative game. Now this is one you may not have heard of, this little one called Leapfrog. This is the very first game put out by the Fragor brothers and Fragor Games. This here is a little simple game. It actually comes in a video cassette box, which some of you don't even know what that is. But this has frogs that are leaping over each other, trying to be in the front. It's a very simple game. I get a big kick out of it. Then we have Codex. I have Codex in 2 boxes. I have this big box here, and then I have a smaller box here. And between the 2 of them, everything is there. A lot of fun in these. Actually, I don't think you can see it, so I'll slide it over so you can. You might wonder why there's a hole here missing. That's because that's for Dixit. Dixit is out thanks to New Year's Eve at a party there, so it will be back shortly. 7 Wonders, still really enjoy 7 Wonders, and I just saw a tweet from Antoine Bauza saying he's playtesting a new expansion. Yeah! This one here, Viceroy. I have the Russian version of it from Hobby World. I actually tried to get this one into the Dice Tower Essentials. That's how much I liked it. It is a great 2, 3, or 4-player game. You certainly want to check this one out. Just some neat concepts in there. So those are my shelves of the day. Let's move on.
Hey, this is Mike with the Board Game Makeover. Before you ask what's with the hat, let me tell you about the hat. See, this is what happens when you lose a board game bet with your daughter. So I'm wearing the hat that she chose. Now, what game were we playing? Potion Explosion from Cool Mini or Not. It's their abstract game that doesn't involve any miniatures. And the game was a lot of fun, but it was very, very frustrating. And this is why. This thing. It's supposed to hold all those marbles that represent the potion parts, the elements coming down that you make potions with. And it kept coming apart on me. It was so frustrating that I decided to do something about it. And this is what I did. When I was at BGGCon, I brought this game home with me from Cosmos Games called Dimension. It's a game I'm not very good at because there's a timer involved. And I'm making my own ingredient dispenser for Potion Explosion using the Dimension balls. Let me show you what I'm doing. I found this wooden box at a thrift store, and same with most of the parts that I used to upgrade these components. These wooden blocks were also found at a thrift store, and so are these bigger wooden blocks, and these are the ones I used for the angle here. I then used a game board, and they happened to be the right size, and I put these wooden blocks here. Actually, this one goes first, like this, and this one would just slide underneath it. And that's how we have the angle for these balls to slide down the chutes. And then I use part of the same game board, and I'll use that to cover it, the top part of it, so you can only see the parts down here so you can do your explosions. And next week, I'm going to add a feature that's going to basically blow your mind, no pun intended. You know, I never would have thought of this idea if it weren't for a friend of mine, Matt Hosey. Thank you for the idea of making a better ingredient dispenser, because that one was driving me crazy, and this one's so much more fun. The only thing I have to do now is finish that part and these parts, the potions. These big balls don't fit on it real well, and that's the other annoying thing, is those little balls fall off these so easily and they roll all over the table. Well, I'm going to make these bigger, and I'm going to make it so the big balls fit in them nice and firm. Thanks for watching the Board Game Makeover, and thanks Matt Hosey for this idea. We'll see you next time.
Hello, my name's Dan, and this is Cora, and we're here today to talk to you about games for children of around 5 and under. And today we're going to talk about this game. What is it, Cora?
The Princess and the Pea.
The Princess and the Pea. And this was very kindly sent to us by the Jenkins family. So thank you very much, Jenkins family. We give you 2 thumbs up. The Princess and the Pea is a great little stacking game that recreates the kids' fairy tale. A little wooden pea is placed on a cardboard bed frame, and the players take it in turns to add bedding, pillows and blankets to the pile. The person who knocks over the stack first is a loser. There's some rules about rolling dice and going round a board to see if he's taking a piece off or putting one on, but to be honest, that all feels pretty superfluous, and it's much more fun to just keep adding stuff until it all falls over. If I've got one criticism of the game, it's that we could do with at least one more set of mattresses and bedding, as sometimes we can reach the end of the game without the pile falling over at all. But I think we're going to get out our sewing machine and see if we can make some extra bits of our own, so it's not that big of a problem.
I win.
So, Cora, what do you think about this game?
I like it because there's a little pea in the middle of the bed. Then you put a mattress over it. Then like a cushion, and then a pillow.
Yeah, and the pillows and the cushions are really nice, aren't they? Really soft and tactile and really nice. And I like these little pillows especially because you can have pillow fights with them, can't you? Like this. So we give The Princess and the Pea 2 thumbs up.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Bassel.
Jason Levine.
And today our question is from Troy. And Troy was playing Ghost Stories. It was a great game, he really liked it. And one guy, he said he found a rule in the game where he did something and then he kept going back and forth and found this kind of loop where he was able to break the game. Now this is not he didn't really break the game situation. I'm not here to discuss the actual situation or whether that was correct or not. What we're talking about is what do you do when you're playing a game and someone finds that one strategy which essentially breaks it? Maybe because they just didn't catch it in the rule book or whatever. A good example of a very commonly known broken strategy would be a few acres of snow. I don't know the broken strategy. Maybe you do.
Yeah, you go to
Okay,
Halifax
no.
and go
Okay,
around.
okay. Yeah. But once you know that strategy, is the game ruined for you?
No, because here's the thing. If there is a strategy, then if I'm playing the other side, if there's a game like that and it's a two-sided game like Few Acres for Snow, and I know that this is the strategy they're going to use, now I want to devise a strategy that could counteract that strategy. And I want to be the other side and try to find something that could then beat what everyone considers the broken strategy.
Okay, well, what if it's like a cooperative game?
Then the game becomes too easy and you're just going to win every time if you keep doing it, and it makes the game not as much fun, I would say.
I would actually bring it up on a forum and say, hey, so-and-so said this is this, you know, go to Board Game Geek and ask there. Maybe the designer says, oh, well, actually there's this rule. Sometimes people say this game's broken and they actually just missed a rule.
Well, Caverna's a good example, because if you got two buildings, there were two buildings that basically you could make infinite product by using the two buildings together. And
yeah, but that was just because people were misreading the rule.
No, they actually said you can't. Were they misreading the rule when that happened?
Well,
I didn't
wasn't
realize
that misreading the rule? It was just that people were kind of reading into it. Essentially, they were saying, hey, you could go here and change this to this as much as you want on your turn. And then you can go here and change this to this as much as you want on your turn. So because they could do that circular, you could have an infinite amount of one, because the one was slightly different than the other. But in my mind, you cannot use the ones that you just got for the other machine to some degree.
Which I agree.
That seemed pretty obvious, but it wasn't explicitly laid out in the rules. When you find something like that, probably the designer or the publisher will be like, oh no, we meant this, and whether it's the publisher's fault or not, try to get it fixed. I don't know. Sometimes the game is so broken, but
yeah, if the game's so broken, there's nothing you can do about it. But most games, they've been play tested enough that if you find something, write on the forum and say, why is this happening? Is this correct? Are we doing something wrong? It's good to find out, and there'll be discussions about the strategy.
Yeah, I really, really am with Jason there. If someone says this faction is the best faction, great. Someone else play that faction. I'll try to beat them. I don't need to take the best faction to win. Now, unless, of course, there's a tournament on money on the line, then, you play the best you can.
Yes. And I think this comes up more with asymmetrical games as well. I know
it's hard to balance them. It really is.
Scythe, people are talking about that certain factions are better than other factions, and whether they really are or not, I guess you have to look at multiple plays of it to see if certain factions are winning a majority, and then you'll find out if things are imbalanced. And that's not to say the word broken, but imbalanced, which happens more in asymmetrical games.
Well, anyway, that's what I think. I'm Tom Vassell.
Jason Levine.
We need questions. Send them to us at dicester@gmail.com and say question for Jason and Tom.
Happy New Year! Oh wait, nothing changed at all. It's just January. So those pesky Mayans got it wrong again. In their face. 2017. The big 20. 1-7. More sticky? Less sticky? It's hard to tell. I haven't done any best of the year lists at all, but in case you're wondering, Feast for Odin, The Great Western Trail, King Domino, Bougie Flush, and Quadropolis. There, alright, there you go. That's for you. Though I am yet to play quite a lot of the big releases for 2016, and the ones I'm looking forward to are Yokohama, Honshu, and Fields of Green. Let's farm. But with a new year comes a new opportunity to promise yourself a few things, and then disappoint yourself when you break those promises like a dingus. But who can stay mad at a face that's your face? You. So my New Year's resolutions are, other than the one I give myself every year, do something with your life. Okay. I'm not going to buy any new games until I've played every game I own. Number 2, join a gaming group. For realsies. Haters gonna hate. Hate. So that's it. I kind of ran out of ideas pretty quick. So I'd love to know if any of you have any New Year's board game related resolutions that I can steal.
Well, folks, that's it. That's another board game breakfast. Thanks so much for joining us today. Now, of course, once again, I would like to remind you that we're running a fundraiser, and I want you to go and consider backing that. We have a live Q&A coming up today at 11 a.m., so I'll see you there. Don't forget, every Monday we also put out a video where we take a look back at all the videos we came this week called Week in Review, where you can see short snippets of all the different reviews we've done, and if you're interested, you can go see more of those. And there's much more coming from the Dice Tower this week. Once again, guys, I appreciate you watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell, and this has been the Dice Tower Board Game Breakfast.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vassell and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock at coolstuffinc.com.